In our video today, we are going to begin talking about some baseball and softball skills. Some of the other videos that we have attached today are for fielding and batting, and in this one we're going to talk about throwing. So again, this is not just baseball and softball. You know, we do in a variety of skills and sports throw a variety of different objects or different styles of sport balls. But in this one, again, it's a little bit different of that hand placement than it is like throwing a football or something of that nature. So we will talk about kind of a little bit of some grip, and then also just that step, that snap, that follow through. First and second grade, remember, we do this skill on your skills testing. So again, break this down, make sure that you are practicing the correct way so that you are looking for that accuracy, so that you can begin working on that speed and that delivery and that strength behind your throw, in addition to that accuracy. So on gripping a ball, basically, as we get more advanced in the skills, we start talking about the different varieties of placement on there. But when you're dealing with a baseball or a softball, they have those laces, and depending on the newness of the ball, they stick out a little bit more. You can really feel them. But you really want to make sure that your fingers, okay, especially these middle three, are finding the seams, right? And then our thumb is also on some sort of a seam. So this helps us get really good, grip on the ball, so that we can feel it each and every time that we throw it. So that's what you want to start to kind of implement and figure out after you field the ball, is kind of spinning that ball and finding that grip every time so that you can be really successful with your throw. So again, that's kind of just some of that advanced level thinking for my third, fourth, and fifth graders as you're kind of transferring these skills into a more sport type situation or a game like situation. If you don't have a baseball or softball at home, just remember you can make those balls. Either we talked about the bags and having tape around it, making a ball out of socks or something of that nature, or even taking some construction paper type or paper sack, right, and kind of balling that up and finding a way with tape or something to keep that together. So just something that you can use in order to get that grip action and practice that. A tennis ball, right, will work a little bit for that. It's a little bit smaller than a baseball, not too much, but a little bit. But it might give you a nice thing to practice, kind of if you're by yourself, bouncing off of a wall, and having that ball come back to you in practicing that throwing. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my glove here, but it's just kind of natural to go into that fielding mechanism, so I'll show that here at the end of the video. But just some of that grip, right? So just making sure that those three fingers are there, that your thumb is also on a seam of some sort. So let's talk about that throwing. It all starts from the feet up, right? So we want to start with that step. We've talked so many times in class about the opposite foot step. So if I'm right-handed, I'm going to end up taking a step with that left foot. If I'm left-handed, I'm going to end up taking a step with that right foot. So that's just what I want to do, is I'm kind of stepping towards my target. And what that's going to do is what I call opening the door, right? It's going to get our hips out of the way. It's going to get our body turned so that we can get our full body behind that throw as we're going towards our target. What our non-dominant hand, as that non-dominant foot is stepping, right, our opposite foot is stepping, this hand becomes, I'm pointing towards my target. And when I don't have a glove in my hand, I've even had little kids actually point, right? So if my target is over here, I want to make sure that I'm getting in line with that, because at the end of my throw, what's happening is as that hand comes through, I'm just going to end up replacing where that target hand was. So as I start to take that step and as I start to point towards my target, it naturally opens up my body. I want to take this hand and I'm going to bring it back, okay? My shoulder is high, my elbow is high, kind of like in some of our volleyball videos, how we talked about with that hitting stance and that serving stance. I am pulling back that hand, I am pulling back that arm, and I have a nice L happening back here, okay? And I want to have a little bit of my palm away, my snap going on, so that as I come through, I'm going to be leading with that shoulder, leading with that elbow, and I'm coming through into that snap. All right, so from this target here, I'm separating, I'm pointing towards my target, my body is opening up. As I step and come through, my shoulders are going to rotate, and then I'm just replacing that hand with this hand, and my follow through is going to end up across my body, all right? So again, I'm here, I'm shoulder separated, I'm receiving that ball, I'm separating out here, and I'm coming through, and I'm snapping across my body. What kind of a snap that I want at the end is this kind of wrist snap, all right? So as I come through and snap this direction, I want to see the rotation of the ball going this way, right? And depending on how I choose to grip the softball or the baseball, I can see those laces actually turn, right? So if I've created my own kind of ball at home, you might even kind of draw out the laces just so you can start to kind of see what that rotation may look like. So it just kind of looks like a big horseshoe, right, on both sides. So then it kind of comes to the center like this, and then it just becomes a bottom-shaped horseshoe. So that's kind of how I make my laces on there. So if I do have a glove, right, now I can kind of take that fielding lesson that we talked about and turn that into my throwing lesson. So again, if I start with that ball on the ground here, I can approach that ball like we talked about. I'm bringing it up to my belly button, and now I'm going to have those quick feet. I'm going to turn my body. I'm going to separate those shoulders. Now I have pointing towards my target. I'm coming through, and I am replacing that hand with my other hand, and I'm having that follow through on my throw. Okay, so take this, and if you can, and you have an outdoor space out there, I'd love to see you going back and forth, getting a little bit of some distance, right? So the older we get and the more that we're practicing these skills, start to kind of increase that distance between you and throwing with someone else. Practice those little pop-ups that we talked about, fielding on those up in the air kind of arches, and see if you can practice throwing back and forth with someone. So somebody kind of throws you that little pop fly and you can throw it back to them and practice your throwing motion. So break this down, right? And then in another video, we'll talk about some batting, okay? So enjoy your baseball, softball skills today.